This is a 20-plus page ordinance from the city of Charleston that goes over all the rules and regulations for short-term rentals. Lucky for you, I read through this whole thing, and we're going to talk about it today. What's up, everyone? Welcome back. As always, I'm Bill Olson, your favorite YouTubing realtor here in Charleston. And as I said, today we're talking all about the rules and regulations for short-term rentals or Airbnbs in the city of Charleston. Now, this video isn't meant to replace you knowing this, but it's to help you better understand everything that's in here so that you can operate a legal Airbnb. Now, first, we need to define short-term rental. According to the ordinance, a short-term rental is any rental term less than 30 days. Within the short-term rental ordinance, they have divided Charleston into 4 different categories or zones. There's category 1, category 2, category 3, and can you guess the last one? If you guessed short-term rental overlay zone, you are correct. Now, each area has its own special set of rules and regulations for what part of a home, if any, can be used as a short-term rental. Let's start with the Peninsula of Charleston. There are some general rules that apply to just about every area, and short-term rentals are allowed in almost all parts of downtown. Now, of course, there are some strict limitations. These blanket rules are for mainly categories 1 and 2. These general rules are, first, you must reside on the property as your primary residence. Now, this is proved with your 4% property owner occupied tax application. Second, you must be physically present on the property or generally available when a tenant is occupying your rental. In addition to this, you must spend the night on the property anytime a guest is staying with you. Thirdly, you can only have one short-term rental unit on any residential property, and it must not exceed accommodations for more than 4 adults. Next, you need to provide parking for your unit. One off-street parking space must be designated for the rental tenant. Now, this is in addition to any parking required for yourself as a resident of the home. And lastly, as if that wasn't enough, the rental must be of secondary use, meaning you cannot rent out the entire main home. Now, if you're still with me and you want to learn more, let's keep going because it gets a little more strict. So let's dive into category 1. This is mainly the historic district, which is just about everything south of Calhoun Street with some other small areas to the north. This is where it gets even trickier to operate a legal Airbnb because your rental unit must be listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Then in category 2, which is mainly everything on the Upper Peninsula area, the structure housing the rental must have been constructed at least 50 years ago. Now, the third area on the peninsula is that short-term rental overlay zone, which is largely the Cannonboro and Elliottboro neighborhoods. Now, this area operates under a special set of its own complicated short-term rental laws. So in order to qualify for a short-term rental in this overlay zone, the lot must be commercially zoned and located entirely in that overlay zone. Now, it may not be designated as affordable or workforce housing, and the owner of the building must comply with all business licensing and revenue collection laws of the city, county, and the state. Any other commercial operations on the lot must be completely separate and independent from the short-term rental. Except for the driveway, any common areas or areas servicing more than one short-term rental on the lot are strictly prohibited. You may not advertise the short-term rental on the exterior with a sign. And lastly, no more than 9 units may be converted to short-term rentals on any single lot. So while you don't have to live on the property and you can operate a short-term rental, it is extremely hard. Still with me? Because there's more. I told you this was not going to be easy. Now we're going to cover the last area, which is category 3. Now this is the non-peninsula area of Charleston, including most of West Ashley, James Island, Johns Island, and Daniel Island. Now if your property is within the city limits in these areas, the home must be your primary residence. You must reside on the property at any time it is being rented to a short-term tenant. Again, only one unit per property that can house up to 4 adults. You need to provide 1 off-street parking space in addition to the required parking for the main residence, and it must be a secondary dwelling. So basically, in Category 3, it's the same as Category 2 without the 50-year-old minimum criteria. Now remember, all of this is just within the city limits of Charleston. So let's talk about if you live within the county of Charleston. Now this is a little less strict, but does have its drawbacks and limitations. Now if your property falls within the county, but outside the city limits, you can obtain a short-term rental permit for a primary or non-primary residence. Now in order to do this, you must obtain a business license, provide adequate off-street parking, and abide by all other zoning rules. Now here, there are 3 types of short-term rentals allowed based on the various zoning rules. One is the limited home rental. Now, this is engaging in short-term rentals of a primary residence, and with this, you cannot exceed 72 days in a calendar year. Number 2 is the extended home rental. Now this is engaging in short-term rentals of an investment property which can't exceed 144 days in a calendar year, and you must obtain special exception from county zoning. And the third is commercial guest house. This is engaging in short-term rentals in commercially zoned districts. Now, with all of these restrictions, I know you're probably thinking one thing, but what about the beaches? How do they get around all this? Well, generally speaking, the beaches are fairly welcoming to short-term rentals. You just need to obtain a business license through the local municipality. This applies to Isle of Palms, Folly Beach, Kiowa Island, Seabrook Island, and Edisto Island. Now, each island will have a few other ordinances, but basically, it's a breeze to own a short-term rental there. You probably noticed I left one island off, and that's Sullivan's Island. The reason is Sullivan's Island is openly hostile to short-term rentals. Anything less than 30 days is illegal. They did this to preserve the quiet residential nature of the island. Now, if you search, you may see a few operating short-term rentals. Those were grandfathered in when the short-term rentals were banned, but they are few and far between. So now that we've covered all the rules, you probably have some more questions, or if you're still unsure if your property qualifies, check out the frequently asked questions on the Charleston government website, and there's also a questionnaire where you can go through and answer questions about the property, and it'll tell you if it thinks you're going to qualify or not. So I'll link that below, as well as a link to the entire ordinance for your reference. And one last thing to remember when it comes to the legality of short-term rentals: if your property falls under any HOA bylaws, be sure to check to see if you're allowed to operate a short-term rental. Most HOAs prohibit rentals less than 6 months. So now that we've discussed if a property meets the necessary requirements, let's talk about how to formally apply for your short-term rental permit. There's a bunch of stuff that you're going to need. First is a notarized copy of the application. You're going to need to submit that to the city's permit center. This can be done online or downtown at the Gaillard Center. The rest of the documents you're going to need are going to be on this application, but I'm going to go through them right now for you. A site plan or survey of the property drawn to scale, photographs of the current views of the exterior of the building where the short-term rental unit is proposed to be located, complete floor plans, again drawn to scale. For Category 1 homes, you'll need documentation that shows that the structure is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, and for Category 2, you'll need documents showing that the structure being used as a short-term rental is at least 50 years old. You'll need a copy of your driver's license. You'll need the documentation showing that the property qualifies for the 4% legal residence tax rate. And lastly, we have the application fees, and there are quite a few. Applications will have to submit a $200 zoning application review fee, $40 fire and safety inspection fee, $32.21 plan review fee, and an additional $32.61 per number of floors in the unit being inspected. In addition to that, because there's always more, a $64 business license fee, plus an additional $3.90 per $1,000 of expected income. So what happens if you decide to just forego all of this and operate illegally? Well, Charleston has a special task force that's sole purpose is to find illegally operating short-term rentals. If caught, you could be fined over $1,000 per day or even jailed for 30 days. Check out these other videos that I've got for you all about Charleston, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.